So how do we memorize dance choreography and what can we do to get better at it? Good to see you, and if you're new here, welcome back. My name is Robyn and this is Heel's Hive. So I'm a professional dancer. On top of that, I'm also a choreographer and a dance teacher, and I will now share my tricks and best hacks for you to get better at picking up choreography. Woo! On this video, I will share 10 tips to get better at memorizing choreography. So grab yourself coffee, tea, whatever you like, and get comfortable, maybe take some notes, and let's get going. Now, you might go to dance classes or you're practicing at home. Some of us, we struggle with memorizing choreography. I do that too. And if you're one of those that really find it difficult to remember choreography, don't panic, I've got you. So the first thing that we need to look at is the way you learn choreography. We remember different things and we also learn differently. So some of us are more visual, so seeing the choreography perhaps, or seeing your own image from the mirror can help you remember the actual combinations. Some of us are more audible, so hearing the movements and how it's described and how it fits the music can actually be easier for you in terms of learning. And the third type is kinesthetic, and for those people it can be actually physically moving the body or feeling your muscles tensing and working is the way you remember choreography. We can mix and match these different ways of remembering the choreography. So next time when you are practicing something or you're in a class, try to recognize when do you find it easier to remember the choreography and when do you find it more difficult. Does it matter where you are placed in a room? So I'm neurodivergent and I have ADHD and dyslexia. So for myself, I know that I need to be placed in the room kind of close to the teacher so that I can visually see them the whole time and I can actually see when they're talking, because if I don't see their faces, I don't realize that they're speaking, which is really bad. But I just know that for myself that I actually need to be really close to the teacher. I need to see them from the mirror and I need to see myself from the mirror. So I'm very visual, and knowing that helps me to pick up the choreography, because then I know how I can make it easier for myself in the classroom setting. The next thing that I want you to try is to split the choreography into smaller sections and sections that work for you. So it might not be the way that the teacher is teaching the choreography to you, and you just need to know that, okay, that's not your style of learning. Maybe you need to split the choreography into smaller sections. So for some people it can be actually really useful to think about it like section number 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, and anything that you can come up with. Maybe you're first thinking about apples, bananas, pears, tomatoes. Try to see what works for you in terms of memorizing the choreography. And taking it a little bit further, what I use a lot is storytelling. I think that also comes from my theatrical background, so I'm always looking for the drama. So when I'm learning the choreography, I will highlight, okay, in the start, maybe it's smaller, I have one emotion, so I connect to the choreography on an emotional level. Then as it evolves, maybe the movement changes a little bit depending on the choreographer, then that will take me somewhere else, and that's how I remember the movements, because I'm telling something with my body language and with my expressions. It's something that you need to try and see what helps you. Number 3 is connecting the movements with music or vocals. So especially if you're an audible learner, you might listen to the music and you hear rhythms and patterns, and maybe there's somebody singing on the track and you can sort of put that into the choreography. When we dance, we are really musical, and most of the teachers usually teach in a very musical way. So recognizing some patterns and rhythms may help you to connect the movements to one another. And sometimes the teachers will give you the musicality, and sometimes I make it for myself. So if I'm learning the choreography, I might be saying some stuff in my head or making a rhythm in my head that I recognize that the teacher is trying to teach me. So maybe the teacher is saying 1, 2, 3, and a 4. In my head, I will make a rhythm and go like da 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 da. Or if there is the music or the vocals, you can maybe connect that. Number 4 is repetition and space spaced out repetitions are really the best, because it does take some time to transfer the knowledge from the cortex, or like to transfer the information from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. And when you're in a dance class, you might not get the chance to actually do that because it is so short and really there is no time. But if you are repeating the choreography or the exercises in the next class and after that, you will have the chance to actually have time to get breaks in between. And if you are working by yourself, it's really good to kind of like focus on one thing for 15 to 30 minutes, take a break and do something else. I mean, if you are neurodivergent like myself, I get fixated and I zone, like I focus on something. And if I'm choreographing, I can't stop because I just and then I just can't restart. So it's just like really learning yourself and what kind of a student you are and what works for your memory. But if you can, try to take some small breaks here and there, and that should help you to memorize the choreography. So if you're in a dance class where you are dancing in multiple groups, maybe you have the chance to be in the group 1 and then group 2 and 3 you're watching from the side. So for you physically, that means a break for your body from the material, but mentally you can repeat the choreography in your head as you're watching the other people dance the routine. Or you can actually listen to the music and try to visualize their movements, or even kind of like using the kinesthetic way of learning, like listening to the music and trying to recall how it felt in your body as you were dancing it. Number 5 kind of touched on this, visualization and associations. So that was connected to splitting the material into smaller chunks and making associations with that. So maybe they're the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, how many numbers you need, or A, B, C, D. It can be colors, it can be storytelling. Visualizing the choreography and making associations, sometimes it can be helpful to not only think about like objects or subjects, but actually they're like visualizing how it feels in your body, if that makes sense. Visualizing how in one movement maybe you went through honey and it's like really stiff and thick. So like trying to visualize that in your head as you're doing it, as you're learning it, or as you're watching or listening to the music. If you are a visual person like myself, trying to see the movements really helps me. I don't know if that makes sense, but like listening to the music and like really seeing how the movement would fill out the space or how my body would move. If you want to support me on my channel, you can like this video, and if you're not yet subscribed, I recommend that you hit that button. Let's keep going. Number 6 is taking notes. So maybe you want to write things down for yourself. Maybe you want to do an audio recording after the class. Maybe you film yourself in the class if that's possible, or you can look at the video from the choreographer if they have it on their social media, or you can just go home or stay in the studio and record it there for yourself to have something to go back to and reflect on, especially if you're repeating the same materials. The next time, it's really wise to just look at it, go over it before the class. It comes down to revisiting the material and actually transferring the information from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. And when you are writing, for instance, you're actually telling your body and yourself how the movement should be executed, and really putting it into words can actually help you to learn the routine rather than just physically repeating and being a monkey do, monkey say, being another monkey and copying just what everybody else is doing. Number 7, this is something that should not be overlooked, and that is taking care of your body and your mind. So if you go to the class or the audition or whatever you're trying to do, if you are well rested, you have eaten nutritious food and you're hydrated, you're gonna be on top of your game, versus being extremely tired, stressed out, hungry, dehydrated. It's just not gonna work. Like you might end up going into the phase where your body is like trying to fight for its life and going into the mode of like, okay, I need to focus on surviving. Check with yourself. Are you tired? Have you eaten? And just, taking care of yourself, because that is part of the work, and both mentally and physically. Number 8, try not to get anxious, especially if you're somebody that gets nervous. If you're on the verge of being stressed stressed and anxious. Like if you fall into the anxiety, it's really difficult to come back from that one. One of the things that you can do is breathing, and that is also one tool that you can try, like connect your movements with your breathing. So like if the hand was to come to the front, you could do an exhale. Yeah, that's one way of doing it, but also for your head not to get anxious and, you know, try to push through the material rather than like actually dancing it. And that connects to number 9, which is to stay positive. Try to be forgiving for yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and we learn from the mistakes, and that's the beauty of dancing. Like you can't be perfect. It's not possible. So just doing your best in every situation is just really going to be the key to take you further, and allowing to laugh at yourself. And when you're having fun, you are most certainly less anxious, and you will be more willing to learn the material and observe everybody else around you and being present in the moment, than if you're like anxious and thinking about something else, and maybe you didn't sleep and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get home and I don't know what to eat. Yeah, but sometimes life happens, and then we need to deal with that. Number 10, this is a practical one. So when you are learning the choreography, the routine, the exercises, whatever, try to do it full out from the get-go. Because if you are marking, so when we say mark, that usually means that you are is more for the head to go over the material. Usually you would do it smaller, or maybe you only do the feet and not the arms. So you're not really practicing the actual movements themselves. But if you're learning something, I recommend that you do it full out from the start, because that is connected to kinesthetical way of learning that, yeah, I don't know if it ever happens to you. Do let me know if you experience this, because I can't put it into words, but sometimes I can't, especially if I'm performing. Like sometimes I'm just really stressed and I get nervous. I think that's just part of the art. In my head, I can't think about the choreography. Like it's just left my mind. But if you have done it multiple times enough, it's in your like muscle memory. That's what we call it in dance, muscle memory. So it's more like a reflex. It's really strange. It becomes like a habit. So you can just do the whole choreography from your muscle memory. So I guess that's sort of connected to the nervous system. But you're not really thinking about the choreography, but because you've done it so many times in your body kind of like goes on automatic mode and just does it for you. So therefore it's really good to learn the choreography in a way that you're doing it full out, because then when you are connecting every single movement to one another and you're doing them as big as you can, that is going to strengthen this muscle memory, and then it's going to be easier for you to rely on that tactic. I hope you found this video helpful. Do let me know if you experienced this kind of like muscle memory thing, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!